Hi my friends, welcome to the Diamond Painting Effect with Cori. I'm Cori and today I'm doing another stitch with me, and this stitch with me is for Beach Life 23. Beach Life 23 is an event that is hosted by Diamond Grandma and Diamond Painting with Sweet Tea. Together they're doing this event where it's all about the beach. So whatever, it's mostly diamond painting, but they will let us do any craft we'd like to with the theme of Beach Life 23. Not only do they let us do any craft we want to, but they let us make up stories to why our picture will fit the Beach Life 23. I don't think this needs too much of a story because it's right there on the beach. Anyway, this is a diamond cross stitch pattern that is a stamped cross stitch. It's from DIY Cross Stitch. I got this in March and I started it in April. It's a 50 by 40 11 count stamped cross stitch. And I got it from VIP Cross Stitch. So I am all about the beach, and I love going to the beach. I live near the coast. I used to go a lot more than I go now. Who knew that moving just an hour further away would decrease so much the number of times I went to the beach. But our family likes to do outings out there, and we will go out there and have little cookouts, and we enjoy that quite a bit. This is I'm going to be working this symbol right here. It's the red hash mark, and it's that color blue right there. In the chart, it is number 826, and it is that's a DFC number, is 826. And I don't know why I was thinking I didn't do the loop when I threaded my needle. And so I'm going to go back and see if I can find some stitches to go under. Oh, this is a tough canvas. Maybe I'll do my pin stitch. See if we can manage to do that. I noticed yesterday that the camera seemed to be focusing on the numbers and such, and the part I was actually stitching is all fuzzy and blurry, so I'll try to pay a little bit more attention to what's happening on the camera today. I want to do a special thank you for Diamond Grandma. I don't think I'd still be doing this if it weren't for Diamond Grandma. She gave my channel a push. Right when I came back to started to do my channel again, she gave my channel a little push, and I got some subscribers from that, and it gave me the motivation to keep going. I didn't know at the time when I restarted my channel that I was going to flip to mostly stitching. Who knew? I did want to try the stitching, and I really didn't think it would go anywhere. I had stitched when I was in my 20s, and I had given it up. The cottage cross stitching got that itch that just renewed it in me, and I have been gung-ho with cross stitch ever since. Mostly I'm doing the stamped cross stitch, but I am doing some of the counted cross stitch too, and I do get very frustrated sometimes with it. I'm really bad about making mistakes. I jokingly say I don't know how to count, and that's the only excuse I have for it. But I was working on my little, I have a catted cross stitch that's from a porthole window. It is also a lighthouse on the beach. And I was working on that one last night, and I came across two places where it was just off, completely off. And I decided on those instances that it didn't matter. I'm just going to fudge it, you know, and just make it work. I'm not starting over on that. Not going to do it. There's some things where those stitches really do matter, but I think that one's going to be okay. In fact, I'll post a picture of my progress on that one right here when I do the editing of the video, so y'all can have a look at that beach life. I call it my boat window is what I call that one, but it is actually supposed to be an embroidery hoop that you're looking through. But since I like the idea of it being a boat window, that's what I'm calling it. So I made a little chart, and I'm trying to keep track of my stitching goals for the week, and I was able to keep that up yesterday. I did all the things I said I'm going to do daily, and I finished, one of my goals was to finish that I think it's 3865 color on my European town, and I did finish that yesterday. I got it all done in that first section. That color is completely done. Gunther's gonna pay a visit. He's curling up in my lap right now, and he's a funny kitty. He loves to come to the stitch with me. I don't know what it is, but so I worked on the boat window again yesterday. I've done that 2 days in a row now. I think that's one I have some hope of finishing someday, so I think that's why I picked that one. I'm really close to being halfway through that one. One of my other goals was to do a stitch with me for Beach Life 23. So when this video is completed and up, I'll have met another goal. I really wish it could be diamond painting, but that's just... I also want to participate in the Paint with Friends that is being sponsored by Enza over at Diamond Painting Gallery, Enza's Diamond Painting Gallery. And her theme this month is empowerment, and I have choices on that one too. I have a diamond painting that Diamond Grandma sent me that says, "With God, all things are possible," and I love it. So if I can get everything situated so I can diamond paint, that's what I'm going to diamond paint. The other choice I have is Crafty Chef Diamond sent me a cross stitch pattern that says, I wish I could say it right because I know I said it wrong yesterday. it's with Christ. With Christ, all things are. I can do all things with Christ. It's something like that. It's really making me upset that I can't remember it, because it's beautiful. It should just roll right off the top of my head, because it's very, very familiar to me. I do it, a little brain thing. So, be looking for that. Possibly tomorrow, if all goes well. I'll be going to San Antonio today, or this evening. I'll be picking up some Amish friends from the train station as it comes in. They like to do that when they don't have a lot of them traveling at once. They'll take the train or the bus. The train, I think, is much more convenient, I think, than the bus is. Although I'm sure it's more expensive. When they have a group of people going, they'll hire drivers to drive them. And I used to go do that with them. And usually it was to go to other Amish communities. But I'm not really up for that anymore these days. They like to drive through the night. They would like to drive straight through. And they start at night, so they can get all their chores done for the day. And then they can sleep while the driver goes through the night. And then when they get to their destination, when they leave to come back home, you need to be there to drive them. Sometimes they want you available to drive them around while they're there. Sometimes they don't even need you, depending how long they're staying. I've stayed up to a week before, and you can stay with the Amish. They'll find a place for you to stay for that week. But I always got a hotel because I need electricity to sleep, because I have to have a CPAP. So, I would usually get a hotel, and, I'd take diamond paintings with me. And I usually didn't have money to do much other than that. I could go and drive around, look around, but I couldn't go far. But anyway, but then when it's time to go home, they want to start at night again. Like midnight, So, that's just too rough on me. When I was younger, when I did that, I literally could not sleep at all unless I had a sleeping pill. And so that's all I had to do that, was just don't take my medicine. And, I'd still get pretty tired, but I could do it. But I don't know. I don't even know if I could do it now if I had to. It just, I really don't like that feeling of driving and trying to force yourself to stay awake and you're totally exhausted. And I'm just not about that anymore. And so I just don't do it anymore. They could probably talk me into it. What am I saying? If needs be, but I just, so anyway, I don't mind going to San Antonio and picking them up from the train station. Actually, I enjoy that. That's a nice little trip there. It's really, the train station isn't very far from the Alamo. It's a very congested area of town. And if there's any event happening at the, I want to call it the Alamo Dome, that's not what they call it anymore. Well, it's not. It's where the Spurs play. The venue where the San Antonio Spurs play, and they share the parking lot with the train station, literally. And so it's a mess if there's something going on over there in that building. I think it was in May when I went and picked someone up. They were having one of the college graduations was going on there, and who knew that would be such a mess? But they wouldn't even let me into the parking lot that time to get to the train station, which I think is illegal. You can't block access to public transportation. But anyway, so I enjoy that little drive. It takes me a couple of hours to get up there, and if I go early, I can get a good parking spot and just sit and stitch. If my eyes can handle it, because it is dark when the train comes. It comes around 9 o'clock at night. So I just sit and stitch until the train comes. And then we clear on out. It's right there on the interstate, and I just get up on the interstate and head south for home. Back to Sweaty Switch. We did have a brief little thunderstorm last night. That was kind of nice. It cooled down everything just a little bit. I think it brought it, you know, I think I don't know what it actually did, but the forecast said that it was going to be in the 80s. And then we're sitting here with the triple digits here. And so when that front came in, it came down and hit the 100-degree temperatures, and we were right on the line where that was going to happen. So those two temperatures met at right along the line where we live. They said it was going to hit one city just a little bit north and another city just a little bit south. They said it was going to hit somewhere in there, and so I had my fingers crossed. I wanted to be right where it hit. So there was a line of thunder showers right where we were, and it was We lost our electricity for little flickers of seconds, just enough to turn everything off, and then you have to go turn everything back on, get everything back on, and then it happens again. But I think the whole storm lasted maybe 15 minutes to a half hour. So the ground didn't even really get that wet. By the time I went and looked out the door, it had already soaked up. Any water that there was with it had already soaked down into the ground. But it was a nice moment or two. The dogs came in when they came down from my brother-in-law's house. They were all dry, no mud. That's the only thing about the rain that I don't like, is the dogs have to go out there and do their business. Which invariably means mud. But there was none. None last night. My son, The Travels of Dan, we'll keep up on that saga. The Travels of Dan, he was told yesterday that the part they needed wasn't there, and it would take a couple of days before they could fix his truck. And we were all so disappointed. He's been stopped for a full week now. But because of that little brouhaha that happened, that went up the line to get that truck fixed, apparently they put a super duper critical rush on it, and they had that part within a couple hours. I don't know where it came from or how it got there, but they ordered it from another state. I wish I could remember what Daniel told me where it came from. But he said either they put it on an airplane or somebody hopped into their car and drove it down as soon as that rush was put on it. So he ended up getting his truck fixed yesterday, like they said they would originally. Well, originally the 5th time, right? But he was able to pick up his truck, and he had a load immediately, and he is on his way to Jacksonville, Florida. So he's gonna, last night when he checked in, he texted me, he was an hour away, and oh God, have I been off camera the whole time? I said I was gonna keep watching. But he was an hour away from delivery this morning. That's usually about what he has to do. He has to park. They don't have truck stops next to delivery points, so he found one about an hour away, and he stopped for the night. And I don't know when it was delivered, when it was to be delivered today, but he's back on the road and on his way, and apparently everything's working. And awesome, awesome, awesome. Uh-oh. So, I'm enjoying working on my beach life. I love the beach life. I could tell you stories about beach life. There were a lot of times in high school where I wasn't at school, but I could be found on the beach. There were too many days like that. Too many of those days. But the principal wanted to know why me and my best friend were always absent on the same day. My friend quickly replied, well, it makes perfect sense. We hang around together. We get the same germs. And so then when the principal told my dad what we had said, we just burst. We just cracked up laughing. We lost it. You know, hearing it from somebody else did sound a little silly, you know. So when I got home, I was in trouble. But what I got more in trouble for was for laughing in the principal's office, not showing her respect. I still thought that was funny. I got more in trouble for that than for skipping my classes. But it was their own fault. They had this rule where, okay, if you're late 3 times, you get suspended. And I was, for some reason, they had one class period that only had a 5-minute break instead of the 10-minute break. And it was a pretty big campus that I went to. And they had the band hall was way out in the, you know, the outer skirts of the campus. And I was playing a bass clarinet, which is a large instrument that needs to be taken apart, put in a case. And I had to get from one end of the campus to the other end and for 5 minutes, and for some reason I couldn't do it. And my friend, she wasn't about to go into the class without me, you know. I mean, that's a true friend, right? So she would wait for me, and we'd get to that class, and my hand would be on the doorknob, and the bell would ring, and we knew if we went in, we'd get suspended. So we suspended ourselves and took off. So, anyway, don't learn from me if there's any kids here. This is not a children's channel. This is for adults. So, anyway. Well, I want to thank you for joining me for the Diamond Painting Effect with Cori. Take care, and I will see you again in the next one.